What we want to know is your experiences with him. How did you meet him? What, how did it all start? The foundations of the Bromley by Bow Centre.
Yeah.
He was incredibly practical. Like, you need somewhere to work. I mean, in my case, I need a bench. So Santiago cobbles up a bench out of some old bit of something. I mean, he cobbled me a workshop. I mean, we had, Paula and I shared my first workshop here, and I think Paula's as well, was basically a roofed-in, it was right here, this was an alley, and Santiago put some corrugated tin thingy over the top, so daylight today was so noisy. And it was this wide, and there was a drain in the middle, and there was no light, which is not great for stained glass, but it was a space. And there was a big bench down the end, so I could make stuff. And that was my first studio.
What he was great at was just creating a sort of environment where he'd be making his own work. He'd gradually make relationships with people. And people would just turn up and start making things and learning from him.
Yeah.
I guess that he'd create sort of a space where everyone's learning from each other a bit as well. But he clearly was a master carver and he could teach stuff. He kind of gave this wonderful sort of sense that you could just come in, do something, learn a bit, chat, meet other people who have been creative on the road, on Bruce Road. And that was a vision, I think, which got taken right the way through the centre, right for these whole 35 years really. This idea of learning together, that we make things together, we create a community that's strong, that's creative. I think all those things stem from those early days really with Santiago. And I'm sure together Andrew and Santiago kind of got this idea that artists were just around the area, why not give them a space? They don't have to pay rent. And in exchange, we'll have a conversation, we'll build a relationship, and we'll start doing things. The young artists who are keen to do things would start working with the community in some way.
Because I used to say all the time that I wasn't fine arts, I was decorative arts. And he would always really shout at me. You are an artist! Bang! He could be very forceful.
Yeah.
In the nicest possible way.
And, I think Santiago helped me build shelves and all those practical things, like a table which was a plaster table. It was a table you'd have drawers, but we filled it with plaster. That lasted 10 years, I think. But in the early days, we used to carry people with disabilities out of their wheelchair and carry them up these stairs. It was
so steep.
It was a concrete staircase which went up a long way. And that was the spirit in those days, which very much was flavoured by Santiago and encouraged by him. Just to get on with things, make things.
Yeah.
Just make use of the resources you've got.
Yeah, oh, very much so. Very much like he did in his sculpture. I don't think he ever bought an expensive piece of wood, did he?
No, because he was used to it. Because what he said to us was in prison, there was a chair leg that had been broken that you could use and carve, or another little bit of wood. So he created this constructivist style of working, which is based upon finding smallish bits of wood, but they could be put together to become a figure or a bigger image, and that's how his kind of style developed, I think.
Yeah. And actually, if you look at his pieces, it's all different woods. It's never like one wood and just broken. It's all different pieces of wood, all beautifully sort of fitted together and jointed and things. And we'd be doing things like that, sort of like these practical things of building shelves and giving it a space. And we'd be also talking. He's a great chatter, isn't he? He's a great dancer as well. Do you remember? It's a great chat. And so while we were doing this, he'd be talking, not lecturing us on why he was it, but we're just, I'd never heard of Paulo Freire, for example, until Santiago told me about him. So we just sort of like chatting about why we were doing this here, and it's not just about you having a workspace, but not lecturing. Just it was sort of like it's just conversation. You sort of like got, oh, that's interesting, and just went and thought about things while you were hammering in nails or cutting glass or painting paintings.
Yeah.
So he wasn't at all. Well, actually, I was about to say he wasn't didactic. He could be incredibly didactic. But in terms of just sort of like who he was and sort of his philosophy, like he wasn't at all didactic. He was very, you just sort of seemed to I always felt like I just sort of soaked it up.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember particular conversation.
Yeah.